I want you to know that you've killed my baby girl. And you are going to pay for this.
Simon, wherever you are right now, I ask you to bring yourself forward. This is my daughter's life that's gone.
It's not as bad as you think it is. I know that you've made a mistake, but we can sort it.
I love you, but please understand the circumstances that you've put us all through.
Hearing your voice would make this all a lot easier for me and for Mum.
Simon Wetherby, you are a fraud, and the country expects an apology.
I hope you come back, you pay for what you did, so that you can come back to our lives, because we really need you. We need your help.
I think you should lay low for a while, man. Just run.
We love you, Simon. We love you.
On the 8th of March 2018, just hours after visiting this park to meet with friends, 23-year-old Amelie Jones took a cocktail of prescription medicine and alcohol and was found dead 2 days later after failing to turn up for work. Amelie Jones had been suffering from acute depression and anxiety for a number of years. The coroner's report filed an open verdict. Her state of mind could not be ascertained on that fateful evening, and so it could not be determined whether she planned to take her own life or if this was the result of a tragic miscalculation. Although on the face of it, Amelie's case is a sad but far too frequent event, as a result of the inquiry into what happened, a remarkable story began to unfold. One involving deception and fraud, but also featuring remarkable levels of loyalty and human care. It's a story that prompts us to question the trust we can place in the people we turn to when we are at our weakest, and asks deeper questions about the type of care we need and receive. Simon Wetherby worked at the Glenbury Centre as an associate mental health therapist and counsellor for just under 10 years. He saw over 50 patients in the building that you can see behind me, as well as a number of others privately. Unfortunately, what no one realised is that Simon Wetherby had no qualifications. He'd never trained as a mental health professional in any way. After almost 10 years, the life of Wetherby, his family and friends, and his former patients would change forever.
Simon Wetherby, Associate Counsellor at Glenbury Centre, is tonight on the run following an investigation into the death of Amelie Jones, a 23-year-old patient who had been seeing Wetherby for over a year. As a result of the inquest into Ms. Jones' death, her mental health therapist, Simon Wetherby, was found to have falsified his qualifications and lied about his experience. He had been working with patients at the hospital for nearly 10 years before being discovered.
Today, Simon Wetherby is on the run, with an international arrest warrant hanging over his head. His family and friends are left to make sense of what has happened.
Before all of this came out, I saw him going to work and obviously kissed me goodbye as he normally did. Later on that evening I was expecting him back for supper and he didn't come. I haven't heard from him. I just hope that he's okay. It's very hard being in the house without him. He's my world.
I spoke to him the day that it was all exposed. It was about a 30-second conversation on the phone. I just rang him and was like, and luckily for me he answered, and he was just trying to reason with me and give me his reasoning, and I was just like, I don't want to speak to you. Obviously I told the police what I said and what he said, but apart from that I haven't heard from him at all. I haven't a clue what he didn't say where he was going.
I haven't even spoken to him, so I wish I knew.
Surprise, but kind of kind of bit of a, sneaking admiration for him, really. I think to get away with that for 10 years, pretty impressive, I've got to say. Really, really impressive. How'd you do that? So, yeah, I suppose that was surprise and, a little bit of, good on you.
While Wetherby's family and friends are making sense of his double life and fugitive status, the family of Amelie Jones are left trying to come to terms with their loss and to understand what was happening in her life, the hours, days and weeks before her tragic death.
Okay, I suppose if my brain will let me think rationally for a minute, and for 1 minute I could think that my daughter was still alive, then I could be telling you a different story and say he really helped my daughter. He saved my daughter's life. I can't say that because he didn't. Maybe he has done that for somebody else, but he's not done it for me and my Emily. I don't know how to put it into words. I might need a minute. Sorry.
But to be honest with you, as I say, the past few years, it's been really difficult to try and tell you much of what's been going on. I do know that she's been struggling with a few things.
It's very difficult. You never ever think you're gonna bury your child before somebody else. Coming to terms, no. I'm not coming to terms with it at all, sorry, no. I just don't think you would ever come to terms with this, not ever.
I thought maybe she's just a little bit standoffish with me. When in reality, I think now upon reflection that maybe there was something more going on. So when you ask me how long it was going on, the anxiety, the depression, it's really hard to say, but I would say it's been going on for longer than I'd care to say.
We split up, me and her father, quite a few years ago. I don't think he doesn't know his daughter anymore. He didn't know her. You can give somebody a bit of money to let them know you're there, I suppose, but what is that? She didn't, as far as I'm concerned, she didn't really have a dad in her life. So no, he didn't do anything to support her. Whether she was having good times or bad times, he wasn't there for any of it. From being 7 years old, he's had nothing, in my view, to do with her.
I found a comfort in moving on with my own life, thinking that at some point I would be able to, recover the relationship, the lost time that we'd spent. And now that she's gone, I worry if there's never going to be the time to get that back, and the effect that that's had on me is worse than anything it ever could have been before she died. A regret I can't remove.
Now, Simon Wetherby was raised in the small town of Duston, about 20 miles from Stoke-on-Trent. He was the only child of Margaret and Jeremy Wetherby, who are both now deceased. Although he was not exceptionally academically gifted, he managed to attain a place at ROSEBOROUGH University, where he met Sophie Shaw, who would later become his wife, as well as his only close friend, David Shaft. Now, I managed to track down Mr. Shaft, who did not want to be filmed, but agreed to do a telephone interview.
As I understand it, you were one of the first people to receive help from Mr. Wetherby.
I know what you're implying here. I just want to make sure that you're aware that, him choosing to do this unqualified is not because of me. I had a friend who was going through a bit of a tough time as well, similar to my own actually. I said you should really speak to my friend, so I passed his details on to Simon. I mean, was I aware that my friend was paying him? I had an idea, yeah, but like I said, it was 10 years ago. I didn't, I think he was just helping Simon financially because Simon was spending a lot of time with my friend, more than I was. It's not like Simon requested money from him. Simon was doing a lot of work for my friend. You know, a lot of hours were spent on trying to help him. So I think it was just fair, don't you?
As a professional yourself, what do you think Simon Wetherby's justifications were for doing what he did?
I have no clue.
Do you think that Simon Wetherby's manipulative or maybe attention-seeking behaviour could point to evidence of his own psychopathology?
Perhaps. I have not met Simon Wetherby myself, and I would not dare to comment on that.
I work at Wave International, and I was born a few miles away from here. I live in Norwich now, or Norwich as they say. I've been an HR manager really for most of my life really. So yeah, I've got a wife and divorced and 2 children. But yeah, so that's me. And Simon worked for me. He was he started off as an admin guy, and then I kind of liked him. I thought he was a good man, and he knew his stuff. So I promoted him into an HR officer, and by the time he left us, he was an HR manager. So yeah, he worked for me for about 8 years really. I really liked Simon. He was great. He was good with people. He was a great talker. He was always chatting to people and always friendly. He was a very good listener. He was a very good communicator. Of course, I taught him everything he knows.
2008 was a critical year for Simon Wetherby. The stock market hit an all-time low since 1897. 1.3 million people lost their jobs in this recession. Simon Wetherby was one of the many to lose his job.
I had to just find somebody to, and it was him really.
Within just 2 years of being made redundant, Simon was already taking on cases for the local health authority, and after another 2 years he had a permanent associate contract. But how was this allowed to happen? How was he able to fool so many people? And who was responsible for Simon being able to work with some of the nation's most vulnerable people?
I don't know how long Amelie was feeling the way she felt that led her to this moment, but if it was leading to this, why was no one monitoring it? If they were, then why was nothing said to anyone? I mean, I thought they had a duty of care to tell someone, to tell the emergency services, to tell a parent, to tell anyone if they're talking about killing themselves. And if she wasn't talking about it, then how did the therapist just simply not pick up on it?
There are warning signs that pop up when a condition evolves. And Simon Wetherby would not have been able to detect those warning signs. And that might be why some of his patients might have grown worse and worse without him even realizing it, and leading to tragic consequences.
More isolated and on my own than anything else.
It's destroying my family. I haven't spoken to my daughter for weeks.
Why would I consider my position at the hospital?